Okay, today's daf is Yoma Nun Dalid. I was recently at a chasana of my sister-in-law. I saw the video, and I met the video guy over there. He told me a tip that I didn't know. I guess I'm kind of stupid. That when you take videos with your smartphone, you don't take it portrait style. You take it landscape style, sideways. That's the way the computer screen, TV screen, movie screen are all situated. So you end up with those black lines on the side. So now I'm changing over to landscape, and hopefully it'll be better, a full screen view of me. The more of me you see, the better, of course. The Gemara says on Nandalid, Amud Aleph, the Gemara says that towards the bottom, Amar Rav Katina b'shasha Yisrael olin l'regel megalin lahem es haparokas umarin lahem es hakruvim shayom urim zeh b'zeh v'omrim lahem ruchi baschem l'fnei hamakom k'chibat zachar v'nekeva. It says when they used to come to the regel, they used to show them, they removed the parokas, and they saw inside the Kodesh HaKadoshim, saw the kruvim that were hugging each other, stuck to each other. And they said that the chiba that you have in front of Hashem is like the chiba, it's like the love for a man for a woman. Now, it's interesting over here that the kruvim, the Gemara says in Sukkah that the word kruv is karavia. It's a Babylonian word. Karavia, like a yanuka, like a child, specifically a young boy. Both kruvim were the exact same, so it was two young boys. Also, the Gemara in Baba Basra quotes a pasuk on Sadi Terem and Aleph. The kruvim were ishal achiv. Sounds like there were two men over here. So what is the Gemara saying? Seemingly the Gemara is saying Kechiba Zachar al Nekeva. So I wanted to read the Gemara is actually saying the opposite. We learned on Daf Lamed Tet that the Beis HaMikdash was a good thing, and it was a little bit of a trick also. It's just like this world. There's good, and there's a lot of stumbling blocks the Yetzer Hara could play on you. And one of the stumbling blocks is the way the kruvim appear when they're facing each other. The love for a man is not ideal. It's not what this world is about. Men compete. Men and women love each other. Man loves a woman loves a man, but men shouldn't be loving each other. Men compete against each other. You can't hate another person, but you compete against them. That's what men are made for. You don't love. Maybe you could have a friendly relationship with somebody, but not too friendly. You're best friends with women, your wife, Gelagish, whatever. So that's what the Gemara is saying over here. The Gemara is saying, Umar has a kruvim shayimu urin zeh b'zeh. Kruvim, which are two males and boys, little kids think that men are supposed to be best friends with men. That's the idea of the kruvim. So they saw they were stuck to each other, and he said, he said to him, don't be like that. Don't be like these kruvim. You should look as your love to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The way to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way to love HaKadosh Baruch Hu is loving women. That chiba zachar al nekeva. Don't be like the kruvim. The Gemara in Baba Basra says, has two psukim. One pasuk says that the kruvim were facing each other. One pasuk says that they were facing the wall. They weren't facing each other. So the Gemara says, "Kan bizman sheYisrael osin rizon shel makom, kan bizman she'ein Yisrael osin rizon shel makom." So, seemingly the answer of the Gemara is that they were facing each other when they're doing rizon shel makom. I want to say the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says, "Kan bizman sheYisrael osin rizon shel makom, kan bizman she'ein Yisrael osin rizon shel makom." I want to say it's the opposite. They were facing each other when Klal Yisrael wasn't doing the right thing, because it's a trick. And when doing the right thing, Hashem showed them the truth that men, the Gemara says they weren't exactly back to back, they were just turned to the side. They compete against each other. That's the way a manly relationship should go. If this is true, then the Gemara this would make sense, really. The Gemara says, the Gemara continues. The Gemara says that Amar Rav Nachman, Mashal, Amar Rav Sheshes, B'Shah Sakna. Oh, sorry. The Gemara says, Meser Rav Chisda, V'lo Yavo L'Roz Kabbalas HaKodesh. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav B'Shah Shaknasas Keil Menartik Shalem. The Gemara says, Gemara has a question: how could they show him the Kruvim? If you show the Kruvim, that's something which you're not supposed to show the Kalim. So the Gemara answers, Kan Amar Rav Nachman, Mashal L'Kal Kozman Shiv Beis Avia Snu Mebaila. Kim V'Shabas L'Beis Kamei Ena Snu Mebaila. Meister of Chanabarka Rav Katina Meister Koenechad Shem Esastik Amalehem Nizkar Sheka Amris Nizkar Shechazach Libas Arishona. So the Gemara says that there's a difference, and this is really true. The Gemara says that you're able to see the Kruvim when you're a Kala Bebeis Kameh. After you're married, when you're not in your father-in-law's house, so you have to be snua over there. Then the love between man and woman is done in a more private fashion. It could be done in a more public fashion, love between man and woman, once you're fully married. And that's what the Gemara brings. The Gemara says there was a Maila when the Beis Hamikdash was around and the Kruvim were there, and the Aron was there. So it was a time of love. The Beis Hamikdash is a good thing, but there's tricks over there. There's misleading things, just like the Yetzer Hara is in this world. So the Gemara says that when it was there, when they were doing when it was there, the Kruvim were there. So then it was like Beis Chameh, where love could be public. That's why the Gemara asks, what is Maisa happened, or someone was misasik bekardumo. He was playing around with his shovel. What does that mean exactly? So it doesn't say there's an article. I'm telling you, Kardumo is a shovel. It's a reference to a woman. He was enjoying a woman, whatever, having fun with a woman in the Kodesh HaKodashim, where the Aron was. And Aron was Nignaz at that point. Since the Aron was Nignaz at that point, it was put away. So that's a time like the base. It was a time where you can't see what's going on. It's a base avia. Your love between man and wife has to be more private and not public. And they were doing this. He told his friend about it to come see it. He saw the ritzpah was the mashuna. The floor was raised, and he told his friend about it. And he made it a public affair. And that you can't do when the Beis Hamikdash, that's in this Garsha Ka'amris, Chazuk Libas Rishon. You have to go back to doing it in a private manner. The Aron was Nignaz, the Aron at that point was Nignaz. That would make sense because the Gemara says, according to the art scroll and Rashi says in this Garsha, Chazuk Libas, and Rashi says in this Garsha means we're talking about Bayis Sheni. And then the Gemara says, what are we talking about? Bayis Rishon, Bayis Sheni. And the Gemara has one answer talking Bayis Rishon. So how does that fit with the Gemara just said in this Garsha? What I'm saying, even this Garsha, in Bayis Rishon, the Aron was Nignaz, the Aron was stored away in the floor. So, since that Aron wasn't around, the Kruvim weren't around, so therefore, the love had to be a private matter. And that also would explain where the Gemara says, the Gemara's second answer is that there's Bayis Sheni, we're talking about the second Beis Hamikdash, and the Gemara says, Kimar Isha Levayos, that a picture of the Kruvim was engraved on the wall. Amar Rav Shela on the top of Nandal Beis, Isha Mu'ura B'Levaya Shalom, like a man is stuck to his person doing Levaya, accompanying him. What's a Levaya? Who accompanies a man? Usually a man accompanies a man. Like we're saying, that the Kruvim was a man with a man. I'm right, that would make sense. I'm right, stuck in Shash Nichli, there's nothing to Eichel, Ru, Kruvim, Amurin, Zebezeh, Hotzi on the Shuk, Amr Yisrael, Lalush, Berchasam, Bracha, Beklas, Kala, Yasku, Dvaram, La'alam, Yadi, Zilum, Shtemar, Kol Mechabdeh, Zilu, Akiro, Ervasa. And the Gemara is saying, why is it? The Gemara says they embarrassed Klal Yisrael because they showed the Kruvim that they were stuck to each other. If it's true that it's talking about a man and a woman, the Gemara, we know that Hashem looks at these things. Like Bilam said that Hashem looks the Revios, joining together when man and woman are together. So it's not such a bad thing to look at. But if it's talking about two men together, so that's what it's saying. It's saying that the Kruvim were two men attached to each other, and that is a Gnai. That's a bad thing, and that was what caused him to be embarrassed.